I don't know if you've seen the documentary on Netflix called Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey. It's about this Mormon cult that was so intense, even the Mormons were like, whoa, and they chucked them out. Um, but that title, Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, speaks about this culture that no matter what happened, people just had to smile and keep sweet at all times. They had to maintain the shiny veneer, while dark things silent lurk beneath. I think to quote J.R.R. Tolkien. Um, but I think we've all been in environments like that where appearance is so important and we have to keep everything looking shiny when underneath insidious and ugly things are happening, but they must never be mentioned. And in a nutshell, coming into adulthood, that has been my experience of the church. And I speak specifically about the modern churches. So not churches right now, but churches, because that was my experience in my teens and my 20s. Because I thought those churches were so much cooler than the traditional churches that I'd grown up in. So by traditional, I mean any church that does this. Traditional, right? Any church that's like modern. Okay? According to me. But what I found painful about these churches is when I first got into them, I thought, wow, they seem to have a very real faith. They just want to be real. They don't have to dress up in the smartest clothes or whatever to go to church. They just seem to be following the Holy Spirit. To me, their churches seemed unstructured, as if they were coming from just a place of intuition. I knew later on that they were structured loosely, but yeah, they just seemed so spontaneous to me and everything. But I thought they would be a place where I could be real. A lot like David, the guy who wrote the Psalms in the Bible, where he's very real, he's very raw. He speaks about his love for God, but he also spoke about his frustration. He was very open about the times he couldn't be the best versions of himself. He spoke about wanting to unalive people or gouge their eyes out and things like that. He was just always very raw. He felt, people criticized him because he'd even dance around naked, and he felt that he could always be real. But what I found at the most vulnerable time of my life is that people couldn't hold a space for that. If you ever spoke about ugly emotions like being angry with God or like feeling like you're being punished or anything, your support system, their biggest need was to make sure that you maintain their narrative. Do you know